Hello everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful time. Today I would like to share my experience of using this KEF R3 meter. So this one retail for $2,200. KEF is one of the company that released the white papers and people still have to measure it. Those measurements are great because third-party opinion is always matter, but none of them measure stereo measurement. In my opinion, stereo measurements is most useful for average music listeners. That's why I did my measurements, right? I measure in-room response measurement using REW software with like 3 feet away single speaker with and without subwoofer measurement. And then I move my measurement microphone to my listening position, which is 10 feet away. Then I measure it again in stereo mode with and without subwoofer. So single speaker measurement and stereo measurement, 3 feet and 10 feet in stereo measurement, the frequency response is almost exactly as you can see. Loudness changes a little bit of frequency, sloping downwards in the upper range of frequency. Other than that, it's one of the most impressive speaker in-room response measurement in 3 feet away mono measurement and 10 feet away stereo measurement. It's pretty impressive. I mean, for the money, it should be, right? So what about the sound quality? I started out with my budget entry-level setup using SMS AO300 all-in-one integrated amplifier. It sounded nice and engaging, yet good sense of like accurate sound, but upper range of frequencies sound a little thin for my taste. Let's say mid-range to like lower highs, those are transition areas. Notes are a bit flat and thin, and it doesn't sound bright though unless you crank it up. But normal music listening level around 55 to 75 dB range, it doesn't get bright. That's a budget amplifier less than $300. Then I add a sub and try it again. Oh, by the way, out of the box, it's gonna be shockingly congested and muddy. Okay, don't listen to it out of the box. I used with that system for like more than a month. I tried that, I moved it over to this main system. So this main system, I'm using Accuphase E4000 as my main integrated amplifier, pairing with this Dynaphris Pontus 2, Sony HAB-Z1ES, then on DP47F with DR301 Mark II MC cartridge. And also I have Class D setup, 500 watts Class D mono blocks, Loxi D40 Pro as a pre-deck using NOS Light Filter 0. That is better than real NOS option. So I try all those setup, right? I started off with this Accuphase E4000 playing music directly from Sony HAB-Z1ES XLR cable connected to my amplifier, and I would say it sounds a little flat for my taste, right? So I was like, oh, this is not the sound that I like, so I moved over to this Dynaphris Pontus 2. Boom, right there. I was like, oh, okay, this is smooth, rich, and engaging tone and balance with very accurate notes as well as good amount of instrument separation. And then I tried that, right? I tried it and I listened a lot of my music, and I love the way that it can deliver the music accurately and without forwardness or without brightness. The width of the soundscape is not as wide as this Pioneer TED S1 can deliver or KEF R11. In case if you're wondering, I had KEF R300 probably like 10 years ago, and then recently I had KEF R11. I still have KEF R11 in the storage. Based on my previous KEF R series experience, this KEF R3 meter is very similar in sound, but a little bit better in like separations and sound reproduction out of micro details, more apparent and a little bit more better in separation between the notes. Tonal balance wise, very similar. It has very neutral tone to it, like all KEF R series speakers. So, I mean, honestly, if you want really good speaker and you can get about the same amount of money that you can have for KEF R3 Meter, KEF R11 or those previous generation speakers are great buy. I mean, because R3 Meter and original R series, they do have improvements. They have a mat that they put right behind the mid-range and tweeter, so that basically control the distortion and noise and improve the clarity and all the frequency response. So that is a good thing. But previous generation is not too shabby. I mean, you can totally enjoy it. I mean, it's every way possible. For same money, you will get probably R11. So that is my advice. I mean, if you are shopping for these kind of price point, unless you need a stand mount speaker, because this one have a limit, right? Loudness wise, on my volume control knob, like 55 on my Accuphase amplifier will get me around like 65 dB range. 65 like 70 dB peak range, so that kind of loudness level that I can have. Oh, by the way, low level listening, which means like 50 dB range listening when I put volume control knob to around 60 position on my amplifier. Low level listening is pretty good, but not in territory of my Musician Night One for the stand mount speaker wise or JBL L100 Classic 75th. Those are incredible monsters in low level listening. This one is very good. I mean, not my favorite in terms of low level listening. So it's very good though. High level listening, it has limitation like all the stand mount speakers. So when I was pushing this speaker up to like 100 dB range with my Accuphase E4000 or this Class D setup, what happened is this Class D setup is a 500 watts ice power mono blocks. When I'm trying that kind of loudness level, after like 95 dB, starting to pass around 97, 98 dB range, average, that loudness level is starting to bottoms out the drivers. So that is the limitation of the speaker. So I'm not complaining, I'm just sharing my experience, right? I don't want to make those fanboys mad, because some people get really mad if I have some negative comment about the products. I mean, in audio chain, nothing is perfect. One way or another, they have a negative point. So this one is pretty good in that regard. But the limitation is there if you want to play loud, right? So previous generation, about the same. But if you have a KEF R11, it will take you to 105 dB easily, because I've done that. It's incredible. Work, control, and contain without destroying the soundscape and soundstage. But stereo image is not the best if you get to that kind of loudness level. Overall, physical appearance doesn't change anything, including the binding post, but I think the weight has changed, lighter than previous R3. For the fit and finish, it's very good quality. This blue color is very beautiful. According to my wife, this is one of the best looking color in terms of speakers, because as you know, I have too many speakers. Some might wonder, how would this compare to my reference stand mount speaker, Musician Night One, right? I mean, Musician Night One is in different category compared to this. I mean, almost as good as a KEF Reference 1 Meter. So that's how I would put it. I don't really care about the measurements personally, because I really care about what I hear, and that's where I make my decision in terms of whether I like it or not, right? This one measure great, sound great, and some people will say, it's like it has to be like toe out 10 degree. It's ridiculous. Okay, don't try that. Okay, if they have to do toe out 10 degree, their room must be terribly wrong. Whether straight or slight toe in always work the best, right? So I try that, and a straight, it's very good. Slight toe in will improve the stereo image and remove that little bit of flatter upper mid-range response, so it makes a little bit richer and more balanced with cohesive sound signature and stereo image. Stereo image is not as precise that I would love to hear, so that is not well known in KEF series, the R series, but R11, to my surprise, has incredible stereo image. This R3 meter, there are a few things that I don't like. So what I don't like is it's not a bad thing though. It's just nitpicking and getting down to detail, right? So when I was listening to Diana Krall, No Moon at All, the music is very nice and wide, deep soundscape, but John Clayton Jr. upright bass start rolling in. Bass notes are well placed and precise with good detail. But compared to other speakers that I have, the body of that upright bass is less pronounced. So not missing, but less pronounced. Not as noticeable as listening to this kind of speakers or JBL L100 Classic 75th or Musician Night One, etc. So that is my little point that I want to make. And another thing is that piano notes in that music, right? Those notes are a little bit of hardness to it. Because of that, I switched the speaker cable with this S1EX and this R3 meter back to back, and I tried it. Then I can confirm that the piano notes are tiny bit harder, and voices and vocals and micro detail, all the movements in the mouth, everything is well reproduced. And another thing that I would like to have is a little bit better space between the notes in upper mid-range area. So time to time, I felt like it has a little bit of thickness or congested feeling depending on the music. So that's here a little downside, but nothing major, right? The bass notes are well reproduced, well defined with good immediacy. But only thing that you will be missing is like dynamic attack. Bass notes are not weak, but not strong either. It's just about neutral as you can get. Probably bass will greatly improve if they change the location of the bass tuning port, probably a little bit higher up. So that's gonna be game changer in terms of bass response. If you are looking for deep and rich bass notes and sound quality, R2R DAC will deliver with this KEF R3 meter. No question about it. It's going to be richer. But if you use Delta Sigma DACs, a little bit on light side, but it does have a tightness to it. So that's where the borderline, which one you want to go with. I like both, but I really prefer enjoying my music using this R2R DAC. When I switch over to my turntable, that's where my favorite part is, right? Every note, everything is just as good as it can be, enjoying my music. After all, this is a very good speaker with very good neutral and transparent sound that it can deliver you. Paired with at least 300 watts of 4 ohm to get the best out of it, regardless of type of the amplifier that you use, right? Yes, you can get away with lower wattage and lower power amplifiers, but you are not bringing the best out of true potential out of these stand mount speakers, because always good to have reserve power, although you're not using it, but when it's demanded, there is ready to have it to respond to the demand. So that's what you need. So these kind of speakers are very good quality and hi-fi in every way, but if you are looking for better stereo image, I will suggest you to try something else because stereo image is not the strongest point of this KEF R3 meter, but accuracy and neutral and transparent sound with nice soundscape and engaging notes in mid-range and vocals. This is a great choice of the speaker you can have. So if you are shopping for $20 to $100 range of speakers, then this is a great buy. After all, this is the KEF R series, so they make great speakers, only depending on your ears and your pairing component, and most importantly, your room. If you have to toe out 10 degrees, then your room is something wrong. So that is my experience, my friend. Thank you very much for watching and happy listening.
Next one is, it's called Kiss of Life. And let's hear some bass. The sky, that's the color of love. There must have been an angel by my side. Something heavenly came down from above. He led me to you. He led me to you. He built the bridge to your heart all the way. How many times I lived inside, oh I can't say. When I led to you, you were the one for me. I swear that I could feel my heart beat when I lay eyes on you. I let by you wrapped me up in the color of love. You gave me a kiss of life, kiss of life. You gave me a kiss of life, kiss of life. Wasn't it clear from the start? Look at the sky, it's full of clouds. Oh, great. On the bass, Mr. Torigoe Keisuke-san. On the guitar, Onuma Yosuke-san.